You're probably staring at a wall of options right now, wondering if dropping a few $100s on a home-style pool table is going to end up as a money pit or a centerpiece for game night. I get that feeling. Spending on a piece of furniture that you'll actually use, not just store in the garage, feels like a gamble. And if you've ever set up a makeshift table with a piece of plywood and a set of cheap cues, you know the frustration of a wobbly surface and balls that just won't roll right. So before you click Add to Cart, let's dig into whether the rack Orion 8-foot tournament billiard table actually delivers on the promise of a serious playing experience without turning your living room into a costly eyesore. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the Orion is marketed as a tournament table, which for most buyers translates to, I want the same feel I'd get in a bar or a league. The 8-foot size is the sweet spot for most home setups, big enough to let you practice proper angles, but not so massive that you need a dedicated recreation room. The table's blue finish is a little different from the classic green felt you see in most pubs, which can be a plus if you want something that pops against a neutral wall. That said, the color is just a cosmetic choice. The real question is how the playing surface behaves once you start breaking. One of the biggest selling points is the non-slip build. The frame uses rubberized feet that grip the floor, which most people say cuts down on the little shimmy you sometimes feel when you strike a ball hard. In a real-world scenario, imagine you're hosting a weekend tournament with friends, and the room's hardwood floor is a bit slick. Those rubber feet keep the table anchored, so you don't have to constantly check for wobble after each game. It's a small detail, but it removes a nagging distraction that can ruin concentration. The Orion comes with a set of game accessories that include a rack, cue sticks, a triangle, and a set of balls. For first-time buyers, this is a nice convenience because you don't need to hunt down each piece separately. If you've already got cues you love, you can simply ignore the included sticks and still get value from the accessories. The triangle is sturdy enough to hold the balls in a tight rack for a clean break, which is something you'll notice if you've ever tried using a flimsy homemade rack that collapses mid-break. Ease of setup is another claim the manufacturer pushes. The table arrives in a few large panels that you bolt together, and the instructions are laid out in a step-by-step format with diagrams. In practice, I found that 2 people could get the frame upright and level within an hour, assuming you have a flat floor and a basic toolbox. The real trick is making sure the surface is level. The table includes a built-in leveling system that lets you adjust each foot. If your floor is uneven, you'll need to spend a few extra minutes fine-tuning it, but the process isn't overly technical. Now, let's talk about how the Orion actually feels when you're playing. The felt is medium grade, not the premium tour cloth you'd find in a commercial venue, but it's consistent enough for most hobbyists. When you run a cue ball across the table, the roll is smooth and the ball doesn't jump or catch, which means you can work on precise position play. I tested a few classic shots, a straight cut, a bank, and a simple draw, and the table held up without any unexpected quirks. That realistic play is what you're after if you want to improve your game or just have a reliable spot for casual matches. On the downside, the Orion size makes it a commitment for smaller apartments. An 8-foot table needs roughly 13 feet of length clearance to accommodate cue length and give players room to maneuver. If your living room is already tight, you might end up bumping the table against a wall and losing the ability to take full strokes. Also, the blue finish, while stylish, can show scuffs from moving chairs or heavy equipment more readily than a darker hue. So you'll need to be careful about foot traffic around the table. Another practical consideration is the weight. The frame is solid, which contributes to that non-slip stability, but it also means the table is heavy enough that moving it once it's installed is a challenge. If you anticipate rearranging your space often, you might regret the investment. On the flip side, if you're looking for a semi-permanent fixture that stays put, that weight is a benefit. It won't wobble during intense play, and you won't have to worry about it shifting over time. Who should buy the Orion? If you're a casual player who enjoys weekly games with friends or family, and you have a dedicated space that can accommodate the table's footprint, this is a solid entry.